When war starts, it is on, and even the smallest, friendliest countries can produce brutal killing machines. The Second World War was no different, and many of the world's smaller or lesser known countries had soldiers that fought ferociously, sometimes changing the tide of major battles. In this video, we tell the stories of 6 countries who turned bloodthirsty when the war started. When Greece fell to the Axis in April 1941, a few thousand Greek servicemen managed to escape to British outposts in the Middle East. There were far more escapee officers compared to ordinary soldiers, so the charismatic commander Alexandros suggested they form a special unit, where officers would perform soldiers' duties. It was named the Sacred Band after the ancient Theban elite force composed entirely of gay couples. The Sacred Band carried out many raids with the British SAS during the war and even fought beside regular infantry during the Second Battle of El Alamein, but their most successful operation was named Tenement, or the Raid on Symi. On July 13, 1944, 224 Sacred Band commandos and 100 special boat service operators landed on Symi Island in the Aegean Sea. Their objective was to take several key defensive positions, including a 14th century castle, then withdraw. The commandos landed at night and took the garrison completely by surprise. Moving inland, they ran into a German counterattack, but with the aid of Vickers machine guns and mortars from the SBS, the Sacred Band overwhelmed them. Once their objectives were achieved, the commandos withdrew along with 151 German POWs. On their way back, an E-boat attacked the force. The Greeks quickly destroyed it with captured German weapons and then zipped back to base. It's well known that the British colonies sent vital troops to fight during the Second World War, but what's not so well known is the French did too. And over half of these soldiers came from one place, Morocco. Named Goumiers after their traditional knives, Moroccan soldiers fought with the Allies under Free French command throughout North Africa and Italy, with some units even making it to Germany before the war ended. Recruited from the rugged Atlas Mountains, which border on the Saharan Desert, Goumiers were ideal mountain troops and logistics specialists. They were famed for their ability to move military equipment over the most inhospitable terrain, surprising the Axis, who thought such a feat was impossible. But their most famous feat was their assault on the Gustav Line in May 1944. After traversing the treacherous Arunchi Mountains, 3 Goumier regiments attacked at night as part of Operation Diadem. The Moroccans fought like demons, tearing into the German defenses. One US general commented, "The knife-wielding Goumiers swarmed over the hills, showing an aggressiveness hour after hour that the Germans could not withstand." During the Italian campaign, the Moroccans lost over a quarter of their number as casualties, but their sacrifice was crucial to the eventual Allied victory. One historian noted, "The Goums more than proved their value as light, highly mobile mountain troops who could penetrate the most vertical terrain in fighting order." Most military analysts consider the Goumiers maneuver as the critical victory that finally opened the way to the Italian capital of Rome. In the annals of military history, one nation rises above all others. A kingdom that has never been conquered and whose people fought fiercely in both wars. We're talking, of course, about Tonga. Yep, that's right. The tiny island in the middle of the Pacific mobilized virtually its entire national economy to support the Pacific Campaign. Previously called the Friendly Islands by visiting Europeans, Tonga sent 2,000 soldiers to fight against the Japanese, and among the Allied forces they fought with, they became infamous. Trained by the New Zealanders and equipped by the British, soldiers of the Tonga Defence Service fought in the Solomon Islands, Bougainville, and New Guinea campaigns. Their affinity with the Pacific Islands made them excellent pathfinders and recon troops. But when push came to shove, Tongans proved to be especially able hand-to-hand fighters. This was partly down to their exceptionally high morale. It was widely believed that if the Japanese advance wasn't halted, Tonga would find itself on the Japanese chopping block. The islanders couldn't let this happen and fought ferociously to protect their homeland. While not an independent country, Puerto Rico sent its fair share of men to the front lines during World War II. By the end of the conflict, 65,034 Puerto Rican men had been drafted, many of which were sent overseas to North Africa, Italy, France, and Germany. Aside from the Puerto Rican National Guard, most of these draftees joined the 65th Infantry Regiment, which saw action in Naples, Central Europe, and the Rhineland. Some, after serving a short stint in the 65th, were sent out to replace battle losses in other units. Many of these Puerto Ricans distinguished themselves on several occasions. One of these men was Agustin Ramos Calero, otherwise known as One Man Army. In 1945, One Man Army was serving with the US 3rd Infantry Division in Alsace, France. His platoon was near Colmar and got dragged into the Battle of the Colmar Pocket. After taking fire from a German platoon, One Man Army attacked all by himself. Charging forward, he killed 10 German soldiers and took another 21 prisoners before being critically wounded. His squad locked down the position and got the crazy Puerto Rican off to the medics. His insane courage won him a Silver Star and a Purple Heart, one of 4 he would be awarded by the end of the war. As the country is perhaps best known today for hiding Nazi war criminals, it might surprise you to learn that during World War II, Argentinians contributed men and material to the Allied war effort. British expats living in the country were concerned about Britain's fate and decided to do their bit by donating an RAF squadron. This was kind of like when you donate a well to a village via a charity, except instead of providing clean water, the expats were donating death from above. Their money founded 164 Squadron RAF, and their sons were trained as pilots. Number 164 Argentine British Squadron saw action for the first time in June 1943. Flying Hawker Hurricanes, the squadron specialized in attacking ground and sea targets. They proved themselves and were given upgraded Hawker Typhoons to support the D-Day landings. In this role, the Argentinians excelled. Flying low over the countryside, the pilots would stalk German armored vehicles, then close in, releasing their armor-piercing rockets at close range. It was daring work, but the skillful Argentinians pulled it off without fail, firmly earning their place among the few. The Second World War brought about the end of the old world's empires, and nowhere was this more true than Vietnam. Called French Indo-China at the time, Vietnam was effectively under Japanese control from 1940. Neither the French nor the Japanese bothered asking the Vietnamese if they were okay with that though, and as it turned out, they weren't. After France fell to Germany and the Japanese appeared, a charismatic nationalist named Ho Chi Minh set up a resistance organization named Viet Minh to fight for the rights of the ordinary Vietnamese people. The American OSS were quick to realize the potential this growing anti-Japanese movement had and started funneling weapons and cash to the rebels. The Viet Minh were ecstatic and began fighting the Japanese right away. From late 1943, guerrillas armed with M1 carbines and bazookas, led by General Vo Nguyen Giap and Ho Chi Minh himself, attacked the occupying Japanese every chance they got. With every success, the Viet Minh rose in national popularity and received more support from Uncle Sam. By March 1945, the whole of northern Vietnam was controlled by Ho Chi Minh, and the Americans were seen as saviors of the Vietnamese people. One Viet Minh officer commented, "Vietnam was suffering in those days, and exactly at this moment came the Americans. Tall, handsome, very rich, idealistic. It was only natural for the Vietnamese to fall in love with the Americans." Only 22 years later, the Americans were back, but instead of bringing aid, they were coming to destroy the country they had helped create. Those were 6 fighting nations of World War II that turned bloodthirsty when the fighting started. But what do you think? Did you know that Puerto Rico had a one-man army? Or that Tongans were excellent island commandos? Why do you think Moroccans were such good knife fighters? Did you know that OSS armed and trained a communist revolutionary that the CIA went to war with 2 decades later? Let us know all that and more in the comments section below. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned something new.